not only Valentine's Day, but it's also National Organ Donor Day. And we want to stop and take a moment to highlight the best gift anyone could ever receive, and that is the gift of life.
Joining us now is Andrew Jones from New England Donor Services. Andrew, you're a recipient of a heart transplant, and I'm your friend. And I knew that.
That's right, yeah, we go
and
back.
I'm like, we go back, and I'm like, he walks in, I'm like, Andrew, what are you doing here?
Surprise, yeah.
We worked out at the same gym.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's great to see you, Scott.
It's great to see you.
You know, and on behalf of New England Donor Services, we wanted to thank you for allowing us to share our message with the community, because it is a very important communal effort that really isn't being discussed enough. So we wanted to thank you for helping us continue that discussion.
Now, Andrew, what is your story?
Yeah.
So, like you mentioned, I am a heart recipient. I received my heart transplant around 6.5 years ago, and that was all because a donor checked yes on his license to save a life through organ donation if he ever unfortunately had that opportunity. He did pass away in a motor vehicle accident, but before that I was living with end-stage heart failure. And I would say that my story is a life of irony, because I told myself, you know, I was doing everything right. I was following a healthy diet, exercise program, and I still ended up with this heart disease. So, you know, a big message there is that, you know, everybody should be taking care of their health, because, you know, I was, and I didn't know I was going to be preparing for a much larger battle.
Exactly, and I'm sure if you weren't as healthy as you were, you might have had some obstacles that you didn't get along the way.
I could only imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this changed your life.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I learned so much about the organ and tissue donation process. I ended up having a lot of hard discussions, but those are the things that grow us, that, you know, that allow us to break through those fears. And, you know, I decided to find a way to become closer to people who are affected by organ and tissue transplant, and I went back to school for medical assisting, and now I'm here working for the same organ bank organization that helped facilitate my transplant almost 6.5 years ago.
Wow, it comes full circle.
Absolutely,
you know?
And that's one of the perks of the job. You get to see that full circle quite often.
Right. What has your life been like after surgery, and just, you know, even stepping into this new role? You know, what have you gained that you otherwise wouldn't have had if this didn't happen to you?
I've had the great opportunity to actually work shoulder to shoulder with people that work in the ICU supporting patients who are potential donors. I then transitioned into community outreach, where I do things like this. I go out, speak, share my story, and I've heard so many stories, so many different experiences, and met so many people who are champions of this, of the field of organ and tissue transplant, who are trying to make this a much more revolutionary thing, although it is already. And really, it's exciting to see the things that we're able to achieve when we just continue that discussion.
Where do people go to sign up for organ donation? I know it's my license, but is that how it's done?
That is one of the ways that it's done. A lot of people, they can go to the DMV to have their to register the decision. But because we're living in the age of digital technology, if you have an iPhone, you can access your medical ID and you're able to register there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, easy, very simple. And you can also go online, registerme.org, and there you can also learn about the process, hear some stories, and that's really what we want people to do. It's great when people register, but it's just as important for people to understand the realities, hear the stories, know the facts, and be able to have that conversation.
Absolutely. Now, we just have about a minute left, but are there any myths out there that you want to dispel that, maybe the general public may not know when it comes to organ donation?
Absolutely, and this is actually something that pops up, especially in communities of color. Again, it's a discussion that's not being had, so we want to encourage everyone to have this discussion. It can be a scary discussion, but the way that we can get through that fear is we know how things work. And with this is a life-saving, an amazing way to save someone's life. And with the Black and communities that are home to a lot of POC, unfortunately, there's only there's a social responsibility for them to register as donors, because there are a lot of people of color that are living with diabetes and are susceptible to those kind of diseases that cause multi-organ system failure. And so we want to make sure that these discussions are continuing to happen, and that we can get more Black organ donors registered.
Great. Shout out to your donor.
Absolutely. Shout out to Donald Smith, the whole Smith family. Hopefully they do see this. I'm going to continue doing what I can to do my part to give back, and hopefully there will be a lot more stories like mine.
Good. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
So good
Thank
to
you
see
so much for having me on.
Keep working out.